And we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you again for listening to the Founding Lore Fathers. It's a full show tonight. We got both Dan, John, and myself here. And I wanted to give a special shout out. We have our first listener from the great country of India. Thanks for listening, homie. We appreciate you. And so tonight, Dan is going to be informing us about the Therian culture.
That is
Dan?
correct. All right. So before we get started on that, you guys hear anything interesting out there in the news or anything that just to spark attention, catch your attention or anything, Richard?
There's been a lot of news out there that is just pure devastation, and I know right now, I guess it's the hot topic is churches closing the doors on homeless people, and then
Oh,
church opening the
really?
doors on homeless people. And John, you mentioned this pre-show about the great state of Ohio issuing something like 18 citations against a church for helping bring in people during the freezing cold winter.
So basically, what it was is they're having record temperatures, freezing temperatures. And the pastor, I guess, was letting the homeless come in at night to keep from freezing to death. And like you said, 18 counts of what was it, rezoning vagrants, and I don't even see what kind of laws they could possibly be breaking, right? Like how
They
you got
will always find a way to fuck over some vagrants, dude. If you don't have a house, you're not paying property taxes. If you're not paying
right.
property taxes, go fuck yourself. That's just the way that works.
There's a good Samaritan law if somebody is overdosing that you can call and make sure to save their life. But if they're freezing to death, we need to just go ahead and leave them out there. Well, we've been down this road before in history too. Like we had the whole Gilded Age where capitalists got completely out of control and they stripped away the rights of people that were working for them and they weren't paying them anything, and stuff got out of control, inflation got out of control, people ended up homeless, and then they made it illegal to be homeless, so they're either carting them, putting them in jail, or some people were even, especially after market crashes, were expected. Mainly, this didn't happen as much in America, but in France, they were expected to commit suicide if they were bankrupt. And
Oh shit.
yeah, and it's just like, and then like in some cases, you already made it illegal to be homeless, and then some places in America they made it illegal to commit suicide. So it's like, what do you even do here? What are you doing to these people?
Man,
And
if I had to kill myself every time I lost all my money, I'd have died every Friday night at a bar room.
I know, right? Well, see, one thing that changed with a lot of people is that's the age that we started. It's crazy to think about how much homelessness we had during the Industrial Revolution because of these robber barons. But a lot of them started becoming train drifters and they would just travel from town to town on these trains. Honestly, that's probably what I would do if I didn't have a family that provided me stability and stuff. I'd probably just hitch a train and just go. I mean, I got the podcast I got to do, but that'd be kind of interesting doing the
The
show from
dawning of the
different
great
trains.
American hobo age
Yeah.
really is a forgotten chapter in our history.
Episode 22, Stowaway in a Boxcar. Yep.
Stowing. There's a whole book series called the Boxcar Children.
But
Hobo culture is real, dude. We don't acknowledge it enough, and I'm tired. I'm God damn it, I'm tired of it. Now, the moral of the story is it doesn't take long. It doesn't. You can do the right thing,
yeah.
and I would encourage anyone out there who's listening to this show, go make a food donation. There's a homeless shelter somewhere that needs blankets. There's a homeless shelter somewhere that needs socks, that needs jackets, that needs female hygiene products, that needs deodorant. Take some time to go out and do that, and it helps out a lot, especially during the winter months, since most of our listeners are from America, or I'm sorry, North America for that matter. Go do your part, and if you get the chance, go tell a politician to go fuck themselves. please do that, because that's pretty shitty.
Do what you can, because not on top of that, like, be there to help them. If someone's asking you for the change for $1 or anything like that, don't just assume they're doing something nefarious with the money. You know, if that bothers you that much, ask if you can help them get the said item they want. And if they do happen to say, like, oh, I just want the money, if you got the spare $1 or something that's really not going to affect you, give it to them anyways, because you don't know what it's like to be on the streets and stuff. And if, like, that person's already getting shamed and put down, like, is it really going to matter if they go and buy a beer? I know if I was facing everything down and out and I had nothing and people are already shaming me and a beer might help me out, let me have a beer, you know?
Yeah, and it takes a lot to do that. I know one of
Yeah.
the only reasons that I survived is where we lived at. I lived out near the beach. I could go get food out of a trash can at Bojangles. I could go to the beach. I could take the shower. It was cold as shit. I
Yeah.
could take the shower out there. I could be halfway decent when I went into my job. People don't have that everywhere.
No.
And it fucking sucks, dude. Now, to change the topic and
Yeah.
make this show about me again, because that's what it's all about, is me. I have narrowed down my selection for the topic in which I'm going to write a book about.
Oh, really?
I have several writing pieces that I've had going on in the background, but I've decided to examine the history of American conspiracy theories through
Oh,
the lens of the conspiracy theory being an American folklore tale at this point.
okay.
So over the course of several hundred years, the same story with different elements to it has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. The idea being that there is a subversive, hidden behind the scenes bad guy who's trying to take away the American way of life. They usually do this by attacking they're coming after our rights. They're going after the kids in the schools and stuff. You can change who that bad guy is almost by every 50 years. And so the argument is essentially going to boil down to, because America has always had this in the background, mix in the actual conspiracies that are real, like the Paul Benowitz situation, where the FBI or the Air Force is pumping bad information into the UFO Society.
Yep.
Those small kernels of truth mixed in with just a lifetime of, hey, someone's taking over the United States. I think we end up in a situation like we're in now, where conspiracy theories are so rampant that you don't know what to believe, who's up, who's down. At this point, I don't even think cats are willing to live with dogs. So, but yeah, that's going to be the topic of the book. I've got so far I've got a very rough draft of 4 chapters written, and what I think to be a solid introduction. It'll probably take about a year. So this time next year, I'd like to bring it to press if possible. So
I like it. But to add on to what you're saying, like, they have, for a fact, on the record book, they do have evidence of messing with the American people when it comes to Edward Bernays. You know, like a lot of the war propaganda that he did, and just the way, like, the reason we eat what we eat for breakfast was because of him.
Yep.
He was the one that, like, championed bacon and eggs, and I think it had to do with the pork and poultry industry or something like that.
It did.
no, big pork. It's always been out there to get us.
Porking us out, man.
They were just, they had all this primed and ready to go, and they were trying to figure out a way that they could get, the American public to buy into these types of things. So they started pushing breakfast, and they got a doctor to sign off on it.
See, I would have been different. If we had to get rid of the pork, I would have been, like, trying to, like, promote it at night and call it night porking. Get your life right by doing some night porking, baby.
7 out of 10 doctors approve bacon for breakfast. The other 3 are pussies.
And eggs. And eggs. And they tied in the milk industry. Bada bing, we got the trifecta.
There we go. Just get those
You have
animals.
braille bones.
This is legit, though. This is
Yeah.
actual.
No, you're absolutely right. And since you brought up the topic of milk, one of the funniest things that I've, and this may be an Onion article for all I know, but apparently there was a, I don't know, state representative somewhere who fought to get like milk deregulated so that he could drink unpasteurized milk.
Yep.
And then he got sick from the milk that he tried to drink because it was unpasteurized.
And it made it like it hindered his argument. I know exactly what you're talking about. Can't remember the
So
name.
there's an old adage out there that's the only people who are advocating for war are the people who forgot about the last war.
Yeah.
The only people advocating for deregulation are the people who forgot why we had to regulate it in the first place. Yeah. And that guy is a prime example of why we should have pasteurized milk.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are talking about the Therians, before we get too into this, anyone who's listening who doesn't know what Therian culture is or anything like that, I didn't know what it was. You're going to be kind of shocked when we start telling you about this kind of stuff, especially if you go down a YouTube rabbit hole. But there is one very key distinction that I would like to just go ahead and address up front. These people are not furries.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Furries, it's a weird kink. If you live outside of the state of North Carolina, I challenge you to go. If you want to, you can go find the porn. But here we can't do that because
you have to prove that you have a porn license in North Carolina.
Yes. So, but yeah, these people they're not furries. They don't have conventions or orgies. And if they do, they're less fanatic about it, I guess.
They get it correct.
So. I really didn't see much of them sexualizing any of it. No.
Maybe and that's why furries have the upper
keep it behind closed doors. Yeah.
Well, not only is it that, like, the furries are also into this thing called crinkling, where they like to wear diapers, and they don't change them unless they want someone else to change it for them. Because and you can tell they're not taking this serious because animals don't wear diapers, and if they do wear diapers, they've been put on by their owner. But anyways, they don't.
I'm not gonna lie. I just completely blocked out my ears. I don't know what you just said. I don't want to know what you just said.
It's not important.
Let's
just move forward.
I'm going to live my life not knowing that. I'll probably
but before we get started when I get to this part of the episode. I did have one thing I wanted to share off topic. So I learned this the other day. So how about Eddie Murphy had a baby with Scary Spice, and he's saying that he was not the father, and she proved it, and now Eddie Murphy doesn't want to have anything to do with the child.
I wish that. So, is that child going to be one of the most talented people that's ever been born?
Scary Murphy.
Murphy.
Scary Spice. I mean, was she talented?
You know what? We're talking about famous Black comedians. I'm tired of not talking about Katt Williams.
Okay, yeah, let's.
So before we go into our topic for tonight, we have to talk about this.
Yes.
So Katt Williams said Cedric the Entertainer and Steve Harvey were stealing materials, and I after I watched The Kings of Comedy, I knew who Steve Harvey was.
Right.
I did not know Cedric the Entertainer. I did not know. Well, I knew Bernie Mac, but I didn't know D.L. Hughley. I'd seen it. I think he had a show at that point, but I'd never actually seen his comedy.
Right.
D.L. Hughley was him opening up his set by walking out into the stage and looking at that gentleman and saying, "Did somebody hit you inside the head with a bottle of peroxide?" It's one of the funniest things I'd ever heard in my entire life. Like, that gentleman was truly funny. Now, Cedric the Entertainer, I just assumed that his comedy wasn't for me.
Right.
Yeah. No. It turns out just not funny. Just a complete asshole. So that I feel better about myself for not enjoying that part of the comedy. Now, Steve Harvey, that kind of sucks. I mean, did you guys see the side by side where who hanging with Mr. Cooper guy, whatever his name is, was telling a story about how his family could never afford Halloween costumes. They said boxes from the ABC store, the liquor store.
Mm.
And then Steve Harvey stole that story from him
Yeah.
and said it on his talk show.
Yeah.
What a
I
dick.
also watched the side by side of Katt Williams and Cedric the Entertainer telling that joke that he said he stole. He absolutely stole his joke. The only thing is Katt Williams' version was funny.
Yep.
That was the point I was going to mention. So like there is a have you guys seen the South Park Panderverse or something? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So South Park's running around as whoever CEO of Disney is, and she's like, "Just make it lame." that's I saw Cartman saying that while Cedric the Entertainer was doing that joke that he stole from him.
Yeah.
He was. It wasn't. It wasn't. It was just. It didn't. It didn't have the right cadence. And then he took it from being in a car to in a spaceship. That was lame. That was a downgrade. He downgraded that joke and said it was his.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Bernie Mac was good,
Bernie Mac is awesome.
but like the only thing I will say in Steve Harvey's defense is like he does like 25 different shows all the time. And I mean, I imagine like it's if you're trying to be original, you gotta like it must get hard to try to keep the material going. I do believe in cryptomnesia, which for people listening out there, that's where like celebrities and comedians have accidentally and artists like musicians have accidentally used someone else's idea without knowing it. And I do believe that. I don't believe it was Steve Harvey per se, though. I think he's he's got a good enough group of people around him. They could let him know, like, hey, so-and-so told this joke already. And I think that like he's all about just getting the reaction and whatnot. And he did steal some people's work. Definitely Katt's. And
Yeah.
it's just like with Katt Williams, it's happened too much and he's fed up with it.
Absolutely.
Now, the one thing I'll talk about, though, when it comes to that whole putting the dress on thing, as much as like I could see how it could get frustrating and demasculizing and whatnot, how many times have we seen with white comics and white celebrities, they've done it? I mean, the whole Kids in the Hall show was based on cross-dressing, pretty much.
I'll tell you one thing, Chris Farley never was emasculized by dressing up like the lunch lady. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, that man's brand of comedy. Honestly, the amount of energy that he used just walking around in his daily life, I'm surprised he didn't die earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's very, very rarely will we come across somebody who you can feel their energy through a television screen 20 years later.
And he was genuinely funny. Like, even on Saturday Night Live, one of my favorite skits that he did was where he's on he wins the thing to be on the Japanese talk show or game show, and everybody's speaking Japanese, of course. And he's like, I don't understand what you're saying. And they all just winning. And he gets to the finals, and then he just happens to barely say the thing wrong, and they start zapping him, with the car battery and whatnot. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's great. But a lot of times with Chris Farley, they just wanted to be like, all right, you walk in, you're going to say something really loud, and you're going to fall and break something, or we're going to talk about how you're fat. But he was so funny, and he was so much more than that, and they just always wanted to focus on that. Like another good thing is whenever he was pretending to be Tom Arnold, that was a good one too. But like, yeah, they just I wouldn't say they wasted him, but like they always just wanted to be like fat man falls down, and that's
what pigeonholed him. Like, yeah. Now, David Spade has given several really good interviews about his time with Chris Farley.
Yeah,
and that's fantastic. It really is enjoyable. Like hearing some, I hope that if I die early, one of my friends will reminisce about some, like, will remember me as fondly as people remember Chris Farley.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool thing. Like that's a hard thing to achieve in life. So
Not me.
shout
They're
out
going
to
to
Chris
immediately
Farley.
snatch me up and blow me up or shoot me in space.
Sending John to space.
Yeah. Back to what we're
As
talking
soon
about,
as I
like,
can afford it.
I just don't understand. Like, I could see like wanting to tell them I don't want to wear the dress because it bothered Dave Chappelle too, and then them being like, "Come on," they are kind of right when they said that like everybody has done it, but it is kind of hacky to think like, well, they've all done it. Why do I have to do it? Like the idea has been done, and like what's his name? Who's that one guy does Medea and all that stuff? Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry.
He's made a whole entire career of putting a dress on and acting like a woman. So like,
So there's a lot of cultural elements to that. So I think that it's easy to look at just the sheer amount of popular white actors, popular white comedians, and only see a small section of them because we've dominated media forever.
yeah, of course.
When you look at a smaller sample, I even Dave Chappelle has a joke. He's like there's only 9 of us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's 15. That small sample size. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't overlook that element in there either. Now,
That's
granted, nowadays there's more movies. There's more. Our culture has made a very concentrated effort or concerted effort to have representation in media in all aspects of media. So
Yeah.
I suspect that'll start changing soon.
Now,
Katt Williams, man, he's still a funny motherfucker. I went back and watched his stuff. I'm still laughing. at
yeah,
Katt
well, he
Williams
was funny in that interview. Like, he was cracking me up with like him just calling them all out. And he is right. Like, it's messed up if the only way you can get to the next echelon is if you put on a dress. Like, yeah, he's absolutely right. Like, he should just be funny, like be able to make it because of who he is and how good he is. I mean, look what he did for that role. Was it Friday After Next?
Oh yeah,
That pimp role.
That's
so
great.
He was so good in that movie that my wife remembered him.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know who Katt Williams is. I was like, do you remember the pimp in the Friday movie? Oh yeah, my wife does. My wife, her memory is not. She doesn't. All of her memories are focused on like pictures and elements of our kids. She legitimately she doesn't have the space to think about that shit, that weird pop culture stuff.
You know what I think's great? He played almost the same character in Norbit.
See, I didn't even know that.
I didn't watch it. I never watched Norbit. I watched the trailer for Norbit, and I saw that chick. Or I saw the woman going down the slide, and I decided that I had already seen Professor Clump.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it? It's not. That wasn't Flubber. The Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
I'd already seen the Nutty Professor. I didn't need to see Norbit. So
yeah, I didn't either.
They were the
Technically,
same.
yeah, it is pretty much the same.
I heard it bombed. Like, I heard it was a bomb movie. Like, it didn't do too well with Rotten Tomatoes, but doesn't always dictate if it's a good movie or not.
I will say, if I didn't take the time to go watch an Eddie Murphy movie, it fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Good point. Excellent.
But Rotten Tomatoes, there's a subreddit out there. It's movie critics or whatever. It seems like once a week the movie Grandma's Boy gets brought up on there because it's got like a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
But Grandma's Boy it's one of the funnier movies to come out in our lifetimes.
Well, yeah, they did that with Walk Hard too. Like, they gave Walk Hard a bad rating, and I love that movie.
Oh, that's John C. Reilly, man. That's another funny motherfucker, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now I wasn't too partial to that movie, but I enjoyed it, and I can 100% understand why somebody would find that movie to be hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the dude? Who's the black dude in that movie? What's his name?
Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows' deadpan delivery of
right?
You don't want to try this, man. You don't want to try it.
It's cheap as shit. Oh, surely I'll get addicted. It's non-habit forming.
That guy, that guy's funny. He doesn't get enough credit for how funny he is.
Yeah.
He is one of the more underrated people
He
to
came from a
be.
golden era in Saturday Night Live.
Yep. Absolutely. That was which some people have tried to go back and say that era was overrated, but no, it was not. I mean, especially if you watch any of the 80s Saturday Night Live, which was so bad.
It's revisionist history. It is. There is good stages. There's bad stages. There's good stages. It seems like we've been in a pretty decent down slump ever
Yeah.
since whatever Andy, the guy who's not Adam Sandler but looks like Adam
Andy
Sandler.
Samberg.
Yeah, ever since he I think ever since he took off, it hadn't been great. But there's someone else who's great right around the corner.
Well, there's just a lot of comedy writing that's good has went on to YouTube and it's went on to like Netflix. I try to catch somebody sent me a video of like, oh, this is so funny about Saturday Night Live. And the whole point of the episode is they were talking like this. And that was the joke, is they were talking like this. Like the guy had been in a coma and he woke up and that's how he talked. And they were like, isn't that so funny? And I was like, this is stupid.
Well, that sketch probably would have crushed it in the 70s or 80s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how it was in the 70s and 80s with Saturday Night Live.
Now, I would
Okay.
like to see Saturday Night Live get back to character driven stuff. Like I want hot rod movies. I want Night at the Roxbury.
Right.
I want that. So
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time since they've created any really good characters, though.
Yeah.
that's
It's kind of caught the same bug that The Simpsons has.
Or the movies industry. Like they're afraid to take risks nowadays because they don't want to lose money. So they just keep rehashing these ideas that have made money in the past. I mean, aren't they redoing Spider-Man again? And redoing the Ninja Turtles again? Like, all right, we're making them aliens, so let's make them mutants again.
I will say that Ninja Turtles, the most recent Ninja Turtle one with Seth Rogen, I did not like Splinter in the movie. I did not like the Splinter like his character at all. That was a good fucking movie.
Yeah, he was the only character that didn't make any sense, but it wasn't bad. It was just a new take.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad. It's not my. I'd prefer.
Not my Splinter, but you know what I mean. I think the best one that they've done was the Nickelodeon one here recently. Yeah. Boy, we've gone down a serious.
Yeah.
Road. Yeah.
Speaking of turtles,
we're talking about animals and people, so it does work out. So, Therians. Anyways, like you said, we had to specify with them. There is a difference between them and furries. Furries are kind of hated by the Therian people. But anyways, so Therians. They are people who believe they believe they identify as different types of animals. Now there's Therians and there's other kin. And a big important thing to know is all Therians are other kin, but not all other kin are Therians. It's almost kind of like how not all firefighters, or not all jerks are firefighters, but all firefighters are jerks. Isn't that right, Richard?
So, somebody made a song called "Fuck the Firefighters." It's on YouTube. It's been around for a while. But one of my favorite things to do in this world is when I am wasting time on the internet, I do come across like the random police violence video. It's like, well, there's a reason no one wrote a song called "Fuck the Firefighters." I YouTube that and I link it to their comment. So I'm gonna have to find that guy, see if he's available for an interview.
Well, that was also a shout out to Trevor Moore, because we all loved him, and that movie Miss March, and how he just kept pushing firefighters.
Oh man.
But that's another great movie, and comedy troupe for that matter. The Whitest Kids You Know. Listeners, if you don't know who they are, spend some time on YouTube. You'll love it.
So
let me let me kind of get where we're at right here. So there's furries, weird sex cult. Check.
Yep.
Not them.
Nobody
There's
likes it.
Therians. There's other kids.
Yep.
What's the difference?
Okay.
Besides the fact that one of them hates firefighters and you don't like those people.
Well, I mean, I assume that when it comes to the Therians that would love firefighters, that would be the dog kind. But
nice.
Anyways, so other kins can be something other than animals. So like they can be elves, they can be aliens. They don't necessarily, they're not something that's a plane of this existence. Whereas like Therians are animals that have existed on this planet. And with that, they believe they are born this way, and that they, from an early age, they say, a lot of them say from an early age, they can see the signs of identifying as part of one of these animals. Now, they say they can change their animal they identify as too, and they can identify as multiple animals at the same time. One of the people that I was getting this information from, they identified as a wolf and a betta fish at the same time, which of course threw me down a rabbit hole there. I mean, I guess pun intended, since we're talking about Therians here. But another thing is the terminology for describing is stereotype. That's
stereotype.
Yes, that's their stereotype. They're stereotyping is what they're doing. So again, they're born this way. They can't help or change it, and that's how a lot of them end up identifying.
So one of the words that I came across was clinical lycanthropy, which is like
lycanthropy. I got that in here.
The lycanthropy is whenever they identify as a wolf, correct?
That's not just it. That's actually, isn't that a mental disorder or part of the mental disorder?
First of all, John, you're stereotyping with that statement. So I would ask you to reframe your question. So actually, I think that so lycanthropy is active. It's werewolfism, right? So if I'm not mistaken,
absolutely, because lycan means werewolf.
This is an actual like diagnosable mental health condition.
Yeah,
where people are, and so I think the distinction here would be this person fully believes that they are a werewolf, while Therian culture or the Therians know that they are humans. They acknowledge that they are humans, but they have, I guess, an inner beast type situation going on. So I think that's the clinical aspect of it is a difference there.
That's what we earlier when we were talking about the feral people.
Yeah.
And see, they never knew that they were human beings. They were abandoned when they were children and adopted by wolves or canines, or you have the dog girl. She walked on all fours.
Yeah.
She made sounds like the rest of the pack.
She chased mail trucks.
Yeah, she went. But
sorry.
Yeah, a lot of and those were behaviors that, what I'm saying, she adopted from her family, which were the wolves.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, we wanted to take this serious. There are like actual real examples of this, like John said. Like, how can you explain that they like, I mean, well, you can't explain it. They were raised by those animals, but they picked up those characteristic traits. And then you have other people that feel that sense within them, and they do that too. Like, there is something to this.
A shout out to dogs, by the way. They're homies for generations, man. Lifetimes.
Yeah. So. I mean, dogs too. Like, that's something that I've always thought is kind of neat and nifty about them, is like they seem to be the only other animal that and I know some people are going to hate on me this, but really they're only the one that seems to feel compassion like we do. I know some people say they hear a whale squawking underwater and they're like, oh, they're feeling compassion. They're just squawking down there. Like, they're not sad. They're just making noise.
It's
They're just getting tired of boats. I mean, it's really what's going on.
Dude, so you know, I normally I would laugh at your joke, but the killer whales, the orcas have attack boats, bro. They're
Well, they're
communicating.
technically dolphin, or they're not whales.
Orcas, they have names. Did you know that? They give each other specific names when they're born, and they call each other that sound for their whole existence.
That doesn't surprise me at all, but I did not know that. Yeah.
There's certain species of dolphins that they speak a language and say the other dolphins speak another language. When they come together, they speak a new language that they all learn
It's a
together.
hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep this going along, they have a word, a term for whenever they actually feel that come in, like their animal spirit coming out, and it's called shifting, and it's either a voluntary or an involuntary questioning of their alter human or other kin type, which causes a change in their human animal kind, a change in their state of being, the shift from their human state to their non-human state, basically. And I've got a list of all their different types of alter human shifts that they can face. It could just be something that triggers it. That's a word they used a lot, was they get triggered by something. And like I said, it can be voluntary or involuntary. Not all alter humans, which is another word like other kin or Therian to describe them, I guess. Not all of them experience shifts, but it's just something that can be, it's triggered by outside sources. So
this is like when I hear loud noises, sometimes I freak out because of, you know what I mean? Because just some of the exposure I've had.
Yeah,
these people are. It's same thing. It's just now, you know, they're in a turtle or pig or whatever like, comes out. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm understanding where we're at here.
They hear like one of those Mexican car horns that dun 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 dun, and they turn into like a badger. You know, it's just that's what happens. But anyway, so we have a mental shift. That's where the alter from human, like their thoughts, basically. They start thinking like the animal, I guess. I don't know how they would know how an animal would think, but I don't know if it means necessarily they start thinking how they think or perceive that animal would think. I'm guessing that's what they mean. And then dream shift. So that's basically how like they start dreaming how, like, I guess a wolf, like either being a wolf or how a wolf would act in the woods. Or it's funny because I was like joking around and I was saying like, oh, I'm going to have like one of these shifts and my inner otter is going to come out. And then this person actually was talking about how they shift into being an otter. And I was like, well, shit me sideways. This is a real
Otters
thing.
don't fuck around, bro.
No. So we got the dream shift, spiritual shift, any shift that requires therianthropy to be there. Was that the word that we covered earlier? No, therianthropy. That's, I guess, a new word. Spiritual shift, the different types. There's oral, which not oral like through mouth, like aural, like your aura.
Oh, okay, aural.
Yeah. So you're basically
that word shouldn't exist. I don't like it.
Then you
I'm
have
gonna put that on my list of stupid words.
Then there's astral shifting, which your stereotype kind of basically you leave your body and you have the experience while you're in your manifestation of your human kind. You feel the animal side of you. And I guess bilocation is when you can be in two places simultaneously, and that's how they explain that. You have a bilocation astral shift, which I don't know much about astral shifting, John. You know more than I do.
So there's definitely with your mind in deeper meditations, you can always, sorry, with deeper meditations, you can always picture these shifts or these different things. I know I used to get into some of that deep meditation with binaural beats, and I would have very, very vivid, not so much like I wasn't getting visuals like whenever you take acid and you see things. It was more visuals, like I could picture these things in my mind.
Okay. So
that's through a deep meditation. So I've never when meditating. I've never gone that far into visualization before. I'll spend a good
neither
10 minutes, going through affirmations, like
well,
focusing on breathing and stuff like that. So
I've
it's gotta be a different experience altogether.
I've daydreamed. I mean, does that count like an astral shift?
Yes.
So
I
that's
could
kind of the
say
same
that.
thing. I mean, I'm daydrift dreaming right now, like in the middle of the show. I should be focusing. I'm the hell out there freaking. I'm in the otter patch. Do otters live in patches? I don't know. I don't control this man.
Right. See, there was one
There's
time that I went into a deep meditation, and I went to the Akashic records, and it was like a giant library, and I was reading different, about different past live events, and that my soul was connected to. It's really cool, and it was something that I enjoyed.
Okay. So this one's
past
gonna be,
lives is that's a fun topic I think we should get into.
oh, that's
Um,
another part of that too, is they want, like, sometimes with their with this, they saying that like your animal side might be connected to a past life as well. That might be where you're feeling it from also. So that all kind of intertwines. And so you might have been an animal in a past life, and that's where that feeling comes from.
so that's an interesting thought experiment right there, right? So maybe not like reincarnation as you would
Yeah.
traditionally, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
so we all die, we all go back to the earth, right?
Yeah.
The worm comes along, the bird comes along, something eats the bird, it goes up the food chain, and eventually gets back to us.
Yeah.
So
But
like, is some of our DNA encoded with the animals that we had eaten at some point? You know what I mean? Like that were before we were like our moms fed on whatever it worked our way into our DNA. That's
yeah.
interesting right there.
Or like, they tell you that they say that even science says this, that your energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It just gets transferred. Like, I've wondered, if you drown, does that energy get transferred from your soul or your body, whatever, to the ocean? Like, does that mean that like in the next life you're going to be part, or wherever your energy goes, into marine life next or something like that?
Sometimes you're the bird, sometimes you're the worm.
Yeah. So this next one I find really interesting. It's going to be phantom shifting. Phantom shifting is a sensory feeling for parts of the body that are lost or aren't there. So like a lot of people that have like an animal manifestation, their stereotype is of like a dog or a cat or something like that. And they feel like they have a tail, and the tail's not there anymore. So that's a trigger they start to feel after they've noticed that they are alter human or other kin or Therian. Like the tail's not there right now, but I can feel it, or I got a pincher or a claw or something like that, or a beak. And that can trigger them into that state of being.
So, aura.
That was another one, having hooves instead of feet.
God, that's gotta be weird to feel like you're running on hooves, but to feel your feet, to not
Oh,
hear the, you know what I mean?
something
That's gotta be a weird mind fuck.
Something we haven't talked about yet that I forgot to throw in there is occasionally, like a lot of these people that are Therians, they start crawling around on all fours. They run on all fours. They call that quadrobics. I should probably throw that out there. And they'll start running like a dog or a wolf or whatever. And there's actually a culture of quadrobics that's a competition that, like, I don't know if it's based on like dogs or horses. I do know that one of the quadrobic competitions happens at the same time that they're having a horse competition. So I'm assuming that it's people that might feel like they're horses. But there's YouTube videos of like this one girl specifically, but there's other
Yeah,
girls.
she's gone viral the way
Yeah,
she gallops, dude.
absolutely.
Like she's majestic.
You've seen that.
Yeah, that's in the most non-sexual term possible. I could see myself riding her.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
Like
definitely
just the way she's actually moving like an animal, dude. It's crazy.
and for anybody out there that hasn't seen it, like she actually jumps hurdles and like runs through tires and like she stops for a carrot and you know pulled a carriage. Now I don't know about that part, but
I saw
She got bippity boppity booed.
I saw a man that grew up around the a certain type of what are those small monkeys that lemurs, the small ones, the monkeys. Just starts with a C.
Not chimps,
No,
spider monkeys,
anyways,
Chipotle.
We're going with spider
he
monkeys.
grew up
just like
around
that
them,
monkey.
and he could climb up a straight wall with no stone face. Like he could grip inside and do like backflips and stuff up the walls just like they could. And I thought that was interesting. Like those are not the types of things that, you know.
Yeah, that shit without a tail too.
Right.
So going
So
from,
that's
go ahead.
that reminds me. I actually went and I watched some of the clips from Split. One of the only good M Night Shyamalan movies that ever
Yeah, no, that's a
exist.
good
And
movie.
Yes.
when that dude shifts mentally into the demon or whatever the fuck it was called,
The
The
monster.
Beast.
Oh,
and climbs the wall with just like
Yeah.
his fingers and shit, dude, that was fucking nuts, man.
Just
Dude,
like,
shot
yeah.
that guy did a great job. That guy did a great job. Professor X, whatever his name is.
oh yeah, he
Yeah.
was Professor X, wasn't he?
Good movie there. But
That
that
was,
mental shift going from character to character to character to character. I mean, is that similar to what we have going on here?
kind of, sort of, and that's. I was actually going to get into sensory shift is the next one,
Sensory
and
shifting? Okay.
so with the shifting on this one, it's where like their senses change. Like, so say that their animal uses scent or like it senses vibrations with their tongues. They're saying that they can sense that more whenever they're having that shift come on. Like they can smell more prevalent than they normally would, or like I said, like they can sense vibrations with their mouth. They're saying this is what can happen when this shift comes on. So, or like a bat, how a bat would hear more than they would see. Like all of a sudden, their auditory senses kick in stronger. And then moving on from there, we have perception shift. So expectations will change to be more like your stereotype, where you might start expecting more like a dog would expect things than you would as your human state. Like example would be if you're a crocodile person and you look in the mirror, you would be expecting to see a crocodile, but you see your human self, that can trigger them a little bit. And another one is oh, no, I got that. I'm sorry. I'm reading this one off of here. I should have read this notes a little bit better. But yeah, like they look in the mirror and they see themselves as a human. It triggers them to kind of freak out because they don't look like Crocodile Man. Going from there, we got the dream. No, I already read those.
Well, so real quick before we get too far into that, crocodile, that's got to be one of the worst ones, right? Like any type of like predator, carnivore, that's what I would consider to be one of the scary ones.
Yeah.
Tiger, gators, crocodiles. sharks, that type of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's gotta be kind of a mind fuck. I shouldn't say mind fuck, but like if you go to a mirror and you're expecting to see like I shouldn't say go to the mirror. Let me take a step back here. So you feel like you're a crocodile and you go out to act like a crocodile. Are you just like how far deep do you get into that?
I was wondering that too. And like, if some people are another animal that happens to be that other animal's prey, does that come into play too? Like, do they predator prey on each other?
There's
I'm
some
not
type of weird
sure,
play there.
'cause
That's
I've often seen people, and my brain, I guess, works differently, but I associate some of their behaviors that they don't notice with like animal type characteristics. Some people look like bunnies to me.
Yeah, I've wondered that too. Like,
Some people are kind of reptilian to me. They kind of remind me of like snakes, and
or they have a tiger face, or they
Yeah.
have like a chicken. I've seen chicken men a lot, chicken
how
ladies.
often have you told those people that they look like bunnies?
Um,
more
not
often
enough.
than you would ever believe.
Not enough.
I know, not from you, John. I would believe
Right.
whatever it is you told me.
I've often thought that because I know my Chinese sign is the dog, but I've always felt like I've got Sigma characteristics because I kind of dance to the beat of my own drum. I've always been a loner when it comes to like I don't need to impress people. I don't need to fit in with crowds. I do my own thing.
Yeah, no, I get you. Like I've wondered that too. Like, is it possible that like when it comes to evolution, we are the top of the evolutionary chain? Are we all these animals over time just put together? And that's why you see some people as a frog person or some people as a cow man or cow woman.
I've seen a girl that looked like a catfish. You couldn't tell me she even had whiskers.
Yeah. It's just, I can't share that story on air. I'll tell you guys afterwards.
So, the last bit of information I have, other than I've got some trial and error and real life comments from people in their Therian life that I have that I'll look at. These are the don'ts when it comes to what you want to do with Therians and being a Therian. The don'ts of finding alter-human Therian, other kin identities. Don't jump in without doing your research. Don't assume your favorite animal is the stereotype that you're going to be based in what you live as and what you're going to shift into. So don't try to force that. If you really, really think that you're like a giraffe or something, you're not going to necessarily, no matter how you force it, it's not going to come out that way. They're saying that over time, if you are a Therian, you're going to realize which animal you're based on.
So there's a natural element to it. It's a natural selection process, if you will.
There we go. Don't claim to be otherkin because you think it's cool. I mean, it's going to be other Therians are going to know pretty quickly that you're a fake. They're going to.
These people are fucking hipsters too.
Yeah, yeah. I was a lobster before it was cool to be a lobster.
Oh man, one of my good friends we talked about Craigslist in the past, and we had this conversation, and he told me that he put on Craigslist that he was looking for a lob job, which apparently is where you have someone come in with a oven mitt and jerk you off because their hands look like lobster claws.
Oh my God.
Fun fact for you people out there.
So, other thing is, don't just come to conclusion that if you do identify as a certain animal, that you're going to automatically connect with that type of animal. So, like, say that you feel like you're a bird person, you can't just go outside and start squawking at whatever freaking chicken or eagle that you see outside and expect them to have this connection with you, because it just might not likely happen.
You can't just assume that they're going to be on that same level. It's funny, but I actually saw a guy that he spent his whole life in solitude. He was really like just into nature, and he could call birds and they would land on him, and he could make bird sounds. So that's not necessarily true. Sometimes they have those abilities.
You come across these people every once in a while in your life. Now, I will say that I have spent a lot of time watching people get attacked by animals because they were dumb.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So there's also that. I think in fact I would say I've seen more people attacked by animals because they were stupid than I have seen wild men call birds. So that's a good pro tip that the Therians laid out there. Like, don't, if you think you're a fucking bear, bro, bears don't fuck
you're
around.
right, because I seen the guy, I'm pretty sure he was from England, and he was like, oh man, a warthog. I wonder if I can pet him, and the thing just started biting him. So
well, it's that horrible Disney propaganda.
Absolutely.
Timon and Pumbaa.
So
meerkats are my homies, though.
Here's some real life. So the question that I looked up is like, basically, how do you live because a lot of these Therians, I've noticed, like when I was doing the research, a lot of them are teenagers or like young adult. So I was starting to think, is this an identity crisis that they're living with? No, there's plenty of people that are like well above the age I was thinking that are living like this. So it's like, how do they live like this as an adult? Like, I mean, we're all in our late 30s. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to pretend to be like out in public and be like a beaver man.
Well, I can tell you that there's no way I'm getting around on all fours and doing a horse competition with my old ass knees. No way. This sounds like a young man's game.
Yeah.
So are you aware of any of like what's the etymology, like the etymology, like where did this come from? Is there is there like is this an internet movement? Like,
that's where it kind of started with the other kins. I just learned about this earlier. There's like a blog, and it started with a book that was written, something elf kind or something like that, in 1990. And then from there, like those internet forums and chat rooms in the 90s, it went from there, and then it started becoming like getting into blogs, and then from there it spread out into YouTube and then Reddit and what's that one place? Not 4chan.
8chan.
No, not 8chan.
Everything gets worse.
Where people are like, a lot of like furries and all of them are on there too.
Oh, dude, I have no fucking idea what that would be.
Not DeviantArt. That's the bad ones, right? Whatever it is, it's the one where like a lot of those people, they've taken it over and they actually get trolled a lot by Reddit and 4chan. But anyways, it spread out from there. But I was on Reddit, and they were asking them like, how do you deal with being, not a teenager and mask what you're doing so you don't get labeled as crazy. This is some of the advice they gave. Walking around on all fours, do it at home when no one can see you, and play with your pets to get it out. If you have any, like, use that, act like one of your pets to get that out. Put on loud music during the daytime, so that way it can mask all your howls, chirps, and roars. And then here's just some people talking about it, because I thought it'd be teenagers. 35-year raccoon. It's been one hell of a ride so far. I'm a 30-year-old coyote person, and this is really great advice. Species dysphoria is a bitch, but like it or not, we have to learn to get by and get along in these bodies and in a world dominated by humans. Technically not a Therian, but other kin here, but well, good to know there are so many 20-something, 20, 30-something plus. I'm 25, by the way, for the post. Very well done. Some real good advice here. 20-year-old red fox, Maine wolf Therian. I can't decipher what it is that I am. I've narrowed it down to the two. Mostly identify as fox because it's easier than trying to explain to people what a Maine wolf is. but I've known since I was 11 that this is how I am internally, and didn't identify till I had grown, or I didn't identify till I grew my hair out, but never seen myself till, oh my God. Never mind. I don't want to get into that one. Moving on.
Dude, the maned wolf, so the maned wolf has like long legs. And it's a longer legs and it's got a thicker body. It is a weird looking animal. And if those things were to like start surrounding me, I would be more scared of those than I would be like a timber wolf.
I just didn't want to further read that because it started getting into what he kind of wishes he could do with the maned wolves. So I guess
it was always going to go there, Dan.
Anyways, so what do you think about this, Richard?
I think that this is good for these people.
Yeah.
They seem to, for the most part, have there is a lot of awful things on the internet. And these people seem to have found a community in which they can express themselves without doing any major harm to anyone around them.
Okay.
And then they have control over what they are doing, so they understand that this is going to be looked at in a negative light because most people won't understand us.
Where do you draw the line, though, where it starts getting into like worrisome about being psychosis? And I'm going to give you an example. So one of the people I was looking up, he was otherkin. He wasn't necessarily a Therian. He believed he was an elf, a space elf to be exact, that was summoned here to the world to bring love and peace and understanding. But he spent over $10,000 altering his body, where like he's altered his eyes, he's altered his mouth, like with plastic surgeries, and he's altered his hairline to have like a vampire widow's peak. Something to do with his eyeballs, had them altered, and the structure of his eyes. And he wants to get ribs removed to where he gets that inward curvy look. And on top of that, he wants to cook his 2 ribs that he removes and eat it because he's curious about how elves taste.
He is an elf.
That is a cult leader who has too much access to plastic surgery.
No, I mean he's spent all that time and he's invested that much in. He has become what he's always wanted to be.
Yes,
he is one.
But at the same time, he might not necessarily be hurting others, but it's clearly he's working towards hurting himself in a way.
If it makes them happy and that is actually like legitimately who they are, then I say more power to them. If they regret it later on and it causes discomfort, or you know what I'm saying, or it comes to the point where they regret it and they want to harm themselves because of it, that's when it's a disorder.
I mean, but like how much of your body are you allowed to eat then? And it's
that's the part right there. That's the part.
Nobody should eat cannibal.
That's what I'm saying.
Period. Yeah. Like none of that should ever
So I
draw the line of cannibalism. Period.
Okay.
100% with what you said.
Body mod.
Until Dan said that I want to taste my own ribs.
Right.
That's where this is
weird,
quirky. You know, I mean, this guy's clearly he's investing in himself. Literally investing in himself, right?
We all heard that rumor as kids, though, about rib removals, and I just don't believe that it's possible.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah, I know, right? Mine too.
Manson.
Yeah,
the good Manson, not the bad Manson.
Yeah, because like maybe it has a dual purpose, the removals of the ribs. So,
you know, John, if you ever ran for president, that should be your slogan. I draw the line at cannibalism.
Absolutely.
Or at least put that on your tombstone.
That is what
No.
We should make some T-shirts.
I draw the line at cannibalism.
Founding lore fathers. Cannibalism. The
I
line.
believe that if there is an afterlife, if I ever made it to there and they were like, look, we gave you plenty of people that, that died of natural causes all around you. You could have eaten them to stay alive. I would have been like, no, I draw the line at cannibalism. That is one thing I will not ever cross that line.
That's no better to be eaten than ate.
I'm good with it.
I will say, I didn't
shoot me in space, eat my body, blow me up. I don't give a shit. When I'm dead, I'm dead.
I did go look into some of the music that some of these Therians, because they got a whole community, obviously. They got some pretty banging music out there, like these actual that identify as Therians. They got some good songs. There was a couple playlists that I checked out.
Does it skew emo?
There's one that gets slightly kind of emo, but
so it's not like there's like this weird subculture within the subculture within the subculture.
No, there's a lot of this does seem like identity crisis to me too, because a few of the people that got interviewed, you could tell they went from being like an outcast teen to then being trans, and then from being trans to otherkin or Therian. And it seems to me like a little bit is discomfort and who they are and identity crisis. A lot of the younger ones anyways.
Body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Body dysmorphia is a real thing.
Yeah.
Understanding where you fit in this world and what you need to do to fit into this world. And if for some reason you can't do that within the normal means that other people are making it happen at, I could see you going, well, exploring other options, right? Now, I don't want to get into a trans conversation. I
can just speak from my own personal experience. So I've dealt with body dysmorphia my entire life.
Yeah.
And it has plagued me. And
I didn't realize I got as big as I got.
I get that.
So that's a real thing, There's it was, I don't remember which comedian it was. They talk about how your mirror is a liar.
Yeah.
But you go to see someone else's mirror, all of a sudden you see all the fat that you have.
Interesting.
When I used to work out a lot more than I do now, I mean, I was exercising heavy in the gym 4 or 5 days a week. And that's when you really, really struggle with it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't see the results. You can't, like, if you take pictures every day and like you look back a year from now and like, oh wow, look at that, this is where I started, look now. But on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying, you just can't see it. But your mind tricks you into thinking that you see things that you don't.
Yeah, that's very true. Like I know, I took waist measurements the other day. I'm down about 4 inches in my arm, or around my waist. My arms are an inch bigger around the bicep and tricep.
That's great.
Nice.
And so, I mean, like, I don't see that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I just want to speak for everybody. And we see people, when we see you, we see the whole you. We see your personality. We see you as a human being. So whatever this small thing that you fixate on, I'm sure that it's nothing that can't be overlooked. You know what I'm saying?
Also, we have a culture that's really bad about, at the very least, like, oh, you need to improve this about yourself. You need to do this and that. But there's a lot of it that like is obsessed with alpha versus like beta. It's getting to the point I get triggered by people using the word alpha, but I mean, at the very least, we should, like, I cracked a lot of jokes tonight, but good for them, and good for them finding a way to express themselves in a creative way. And I mean, there's some things I do find interesting about it. Like John was mentioning, we do see facial features on people that look like other animals. And I wonder how much they look at the Animorph series, those books that came out back in the day, as kind of like lore for them too. But like,
For my, like John was just talking about a second ago, like my whole entire life, I've dealt with like people just being like, "Oh my God, you're so skinny. Why are you so skinny? You need to eat more." Boomers are real bad about this, and they were all about like pointing out people's flaws and that you need to look a certain way. Thank goodness they're near dead anyways, and they're going to be gone soon, and we don't have to worry about them. But like,
you ruin the housing market. You got all the jobs. You refuse to leave them. Boomers, you're ruining the world. It's time for you to move on.
And like,
and then you're blaming it on the kids who are
just
think
want to
they're-
be,
you know what I mean?
Fucked us up. Our whole generation is fucked.
and they want to just be out in the woods, like peacefully, just daydreaming about like being. One of the girls in the lyrics in one of her songs, she's like, it's saying like, "I want to be animal again. It sucks being me." Like, you know, at the very least, like, we should be accepting. Obviously, we're not accepting enough of who they were before. We need to be accepting of what they want to be now and be more tolerant, understanding, because of like shaming people for what they are, what they want to believe in, because you don't like the way they are, you don't understand it. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. You're not helping society.
No, you fucking suck. You're right. Being a bully for no reason, you know. Like I'll admit I'm 100% toxic when it comes to that shit. I will absolutely make fun of you for something.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
but it's usually out of love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not just making fun of random people.
Yeah.
I don't speak to
me.
people that I don't like.
Yeah, that's usually the best way to go about doing things. You know,
Exactly.
And like, I naturally am going to start questioning things. I do it with religion and stuff. I don't necessarily hate religion, although I will say there's a lot of ignorant, stupid people that are based in religion. But like, I start questioning things. Like, something they talked about was how with the Therians, they can be one type of identify as one type of animal, but be in love with another species. And I was like, so wait, you're trying to tell me that you can be beaver identifying, but be in love with someone that identifies as a grasshopper? Like, but at the same time, you feel these animal urges. How is this supposed to work? Like, it makes no sense to me. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not my place to figure it out. Obviously, I'm not a Therian because I don't understand it.
I'm not willing to cast judgment on anybody. Do I think it's silly? Yes, but it's not. I don't know what's going through your head. It's just from my lens. You know, I can't see myself doing that. I can't see myself going in that. I don't see myself. It's abnormal for me, but it's normal for somebody else. It's not my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I would absolutely love to interview somebody from the Therian community and hear their side and hear their perspective and get schooled on it. So that way I actually know, you know?
we should, if you want to set that up, Dan, let me know.
Okay. I'll see if I can, like, hopefully they don't hear our episode on this and immediately, hopefully they hear this part of it, you know, and they don't hear all the jokes and stuff.
Just if they make it through the homeless rants.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know, I think that it's great that we can, that people, again, think about where we were when we were kids. And the two gay people I knew were afraid to say they were gay.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know there's reactionary pushback, and there's like these huge swaths of assholes that are making these regressive laws. I get that. But there's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We're currently in the 1 step back, but we have taken 2 steps forward because people can be themselves. And yeah, in this case, you know, they are beavers and border collies, or, you know, I would imagine it would suck to be a bird or a bat. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fly.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. That's got to be a real shitty thing. Like, you recognize that you're a Therian, come to find out.
That's the thing, though. Through their astral or their aura, they can fly. They can, you know,
And it just comes with practice.
And that's a good point too. Like, I get why they want to astral project too, because reality is long and it's boring and it sucks. Like, why do you think we have so much in our society that's based upon shutting it off and going to another world and whatnot? Like reality is long, man. I daydream all day long. Like, I'm in my head actually focusing on my task at hand, maybe 25% of the time?
Right.
But you're dealing with ADHD and all that stuff too, man. So like,
Yeah.
there's no telling which direction you're going to go in,
Yeah, exactly. So
I find myself rushing through things a lot more and having to stop and be like, what am I rushing towards? It's like, oh, you just gotta hurry up. Like I'm pushing and pushing and pushing because I want the day to be over. So what you do what then? Like I need to stop and enjoy the moment more often.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to smell the roses, at the bottom of your grave.
Exactly.
You need to stop where you need to take some time and smell them.
God, that's a good way of putting it. I've never heard that before.
That's a really good. Yeah.
Shout out to Brandon Hardesty, the Bumpin' Uglies. Great song. But yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I found myself getting caught up in that kind of stuff too, man. Especially with the kids.
Yeah.
Like rush. Like, no, man. Like, dude, you're 6, you're 10, take a minute and enjoy them. It's tough. And I think that's something that we all deal with until eventually we reach, like, probably we're old enough to realize we rushed through it. And this memory just shook loose in my head. Y'all remember the Walmart bank? Wood something or something? I don't remember what it was.
Woodforest.
Well, I remember. So I banked with him for a little while.
Yeah, me too.
And I was running late, and this is back when you had like you didn't have direct deposit. Like, everyone gave you a check,
right?
And they didn't have any of the deposit slips. And this lady was talking to this dude, and I was like, "Hey, can I get one of those deposit slips?" And I just remember them looking at me, and this, like, remember when we used to be busy enough to have to rush? Fuck you, dude. I was still kind of mad about that.
Boomers, man. Fucking boomers.
But it's a weird little nugget there, right?
Yeah.
Take time, do things slow, do things the right way, enjoy things. So,
and be creative. Like, God, we should be like appreciating that they're like out there creating something new. Because we just talked about that earlier with Hollywood having no ideas. We actually have people out there thinking things up, having new ideas. And we're like, we have other people just trying to shit on that and make fun of that. Like,
well, I will say, in terms of the creativity, I am glad that we're doing this show, because it has given us all a goal to work together, and doing the research and then finding different ways to present the information in a humorous way has helped me out creatively.
Oh yeah. Well, I was talking about Therians too.
Yeah, well, I know we're here, right? We're talking about it.
Broaden that spectrum there a little bit.
No, you're right. I mean, like, the same with us. Like, yeah, I enjoy doing this every week.
But yeah, I mean, so it was a good change of pace topic. I learned a lot. You taught me a lot about this, and it's always fun for me to find out there are new cultures out there that I don't know about.
Yeah,
right.
And I know even just when you guys were saying the internet chat forums, I don't know half of what you said. So
I know one thing, it really opened my eyes to the charm that they have, because when I first seen it, I was like, oh my God, what is this? And then after hearing some of their stories and hearing them speak for a while, they really charmed me, and I thought that was kind of neat.
And like, one of them, in like the interview they were given, they're like, we're already the punching bag. Like, do you really have to keep punching us down? Like, is there really a need in it? We're already down. Like, let us just flourish from there. And it's like, yeah, I was like all week. Actually, it was probably up till about Wednesday or so.
I was sitting there like, man, you won't believe this ridiculous shit, man. This could be so good. And then by Wednesday, I was just like, I really like, I kind of enjoy this. I'm not that, but I kind of enjoy where they're coming from, and I want to see.
It's refreshing.
Yeah, it really is.
It is.
Therians. Thank you so much.
Good word. Good description there. Refreshing. Seeing a group of people on the internet not hurting anybody, enjoying the fuck out of themselves, not being dicks.
Right?
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them.
Because being dicks gives Richard a bad name.
It's for Richards. That's it. that's it. Now, before we close out of here, in our group chat when we were talking earlier this week, the phrase was typed out: "The truth is subjective," or it's open for interpretation. I wanted to toot my own horn on that because I thought that was an incredible line. So,
it is.
There you go. I imagine that applies to this subsection of people as well, right?
Yeah.
So they believe that they at least have some elements in them that are wild. So their truth, open to interpretation, is that that at least a part of their soul is a beaver. Yeah, I'm like a bird. I imagine that's a good song in their community.
I'm like
I didn't even think about that. I do wonder though, like the ones that do think of themselves as a bear, as a wolf, I really hope they don't ever get in a situation where they're encountering a wolf or a bear. But if they do, I hope that really does flourish in them and they are okay. And
well, hopefully they're not like park gazelle or deer or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if you're gonna come face to face with a wolf, you got to have a little dog in you to fight back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that old, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog.
If I'm a bear, I'm that fat, clumsy panda bear that kept climbing that skinny twig of a tree and falling out of it, and it was just refused to give up and just falls out of the tree over and over again.
Going full derp.
That's me.
That's awesome.
I think if I was an animal, if I was a Therian, I'd probably identify as a mongoose. I don't know. I'd slap around some snakes.
Great videos of mongoose beating up snakes.
Yeah.
Great ones. What was it was a badger, right? That got like killed by a snake and then came back to life and then ate the snake.
Yeah. It's a honey badger. It gets bit by him and it'll pass out for like a minute and then it'll wake up like, oh yeah, and then it'll just start eating the snake's face.
The snake that had a hold of the rabbit baby and the rabbit beat the crap out of the snake.
Yeah.
That one was pretty good.
Because it was eating his babies.
Anytime we see reptiles getting beat up, I think it's usually a good thing in my book. I like every once in a while I like to throw a rock at a snake or a lizard just to remind them how we came on top.
Yeah.
So, it's always a meteor away from putting them back.
I don't even think that I'm very fond of people who like snakes.
Yeah. I mean,
I went to a house one time and this guy was like, man, I have 7 different kinds of venomous snakes. And I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
They've proven it's in our DNA to be weary of snakes. Like, they did a test where like people's vision would actually increase and get better when it was involving images of snakes. Compared to every other type of image, their eyesight would actually get better. And they did that test to like 100 different people, and they've concluded that we have something inside of us to make us notice one and be afraid of it. So if you know some people that are like in love with snakes, you gotta be careful of that person.
Yeah, reptiles in general, they're kind of weird. I know. I years and years ago. I came back to I came home and there was a party going on, and I guess I didn't get the text or whatever. I had no idea we were having a party at our house that night, and there was a dude with a boa constrictor And I killed the mood of that my entire house when I walked in and saw that fucking snake. I was like, dude, you
Oh,
got to go.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
need to leave. We're not. We're underage drinking right now, dude.
You know
we
what?
don't need.
That goes along this. I cannot stand reptiles, but I love amphibians.
Oh yeah.
They're the missing link. Yeah, they're cool, dude. Amphibians are sweet.
Salamanders,
Salamanders are
freaking geckos, the axolotls or whatever they're called. They're my
Those are
favorite.
cool ass frogs.
There's a
Frogs are
type
cool
of
as shit.
salamander that it's so funny to me because like when it gets stuck in your garage, it just sounds like a belligerent drunk guy like falling all over the place. It's like slamming into boxes and like.
You're talking about the like the skanks or whatever skanks.
I think
can't
so. They're
remember.
like about 1.5 feet long and just big enough that they're loud, and you're like, "Damn it, you're drunk again, aren't you?"
They're like, is that the blue stripes and stuff on them, right?
Some of them, yeah.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Those
yeah.
are skinks.
Skinks, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
But
We
like,
got
it just
some,
sounds like.
And then there's the ever like mysterious newt.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't think anyone's seen a newt in the wild in generations. But they've got some good fishing lures that look like them. So
Down with reptiles, up with amphibians.
I know that in Florida, iguanas have gotten so bad that they hunt them now.
that's
Like,
good. Good. Iguanas are assholes. They really are. Like of the cool lizards, they're the biggest asshole.
yeah.
We actually one of my roommates had an iguana. We lived in this fucking shitty trailer. It was like a single wide trailer, and like half of it was goes into an iguana. But like, man, I remember I think we put in he would feed it mice and shit, and it was like, dude, this is like it was. I don't like seeing mammals get eaten by reptiles.
No.
It's disturbing. So no, I've seen plenty of hawks eat squirrels. I'm cool with birds. Even other animals eating other animals like mammals, but like nah, I don't like the reptile thing. It freaks me out. They shit weird. They can't digest calcium, so their poop's all fucking white and shit. Yeah, nah, fuck them. Fuck reptiles. Strong anti South Carolina, anti Virginia, anti Mississippi, anti Ohio, anti reptile.
Yeah, I'll agree with
We're
that.
getting quite a list going. I like it.
Yeah.
We are a podcast full of haters.
Anti-boomer.
For sure.
Anti-boomer.
Justified. Oh, boomers. Forgot that. Exclamation point boomers.
Yeah.
Well, it was a fun night, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to the show, please like and subscribe. And in the off chance you're a Therian, djrpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Later.
From you.
Bye-bye.